Okay, so as of now, we were looking all the SQL queries as an individual SQL queries, right? Like simple select, simple update, delete, insert. Okay, select queries with group by having all those things we were looking. Okay, and these are the individual SQL queries we were writing. Okay, now as we are moving forward, we will be moving into the complex queries. Complex queries in the sense you need to write multiple SQL statements to get your final answer, or we can say to solve your business problem, you need to write a complex logic and not a single query. Okay, so in that case, these programming constructs are useful to build a blocks used to write a logic. Okay, so when we say like we are going to write a complex logic, there will be a not a single statement, there will be a block of SQL statements. Block of SQL statement in the sense, okay, we'll be writing multiple SQL statements together to construct a logic, okay, and to solve the business problem. So this block of SQL statements, okay, to build this block, we need the programming constructs. Okay, also to automate the multiple tasks, or we can say like to control the flow of the execution of SQL queries. Okay, let's say there are like two, three blocks we are having, and we have to control the SQL execution. Like first block is completed, then only the second block should execute. Or let's say first block is completed, or the data is not as per expectation, then second blocks should skip and it should execute the third block. So we have to control the flow of execution in SQL code. So in that case also we will use the programming constructs. Okay, so mostly these programming constructs are used in stored procedures, functions, triggers, and scripts. Okay, so these programming constructs are mainly used in procedures, functions, triggers, and script. Okay, so we are going to see the procedures and functions. So before that, we need to know what is this programming constructs. Okay, why we need to use this, how to use this, all those things we are going to see. Now there are different programming constructs we are having. So that we will list it first. I don't know why this keyboard is not working for me. Okay, so we have variable. Okay, then what else we have? We have if else. This is also a programming construct. Then we have while loop.
Mhm.
Okay, then we have break is also a type of programming construct. And then we have continue. Okay, though we will not use this much, break and continue, but these are the two programming constructs we are having. Continue. Then we have case expression. Then we have try catch. This also called as an error handling as well. Okay.
Mhm.
Then begin end is also part of a programming construct. Okay, then we have return. return statement. Okay, so these are all type of programming constructs we are having. Okay. Okay, I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll just make someone host from this team and I'll restart my system. I don't know why this keyboard is not working. I'm not able to backspace, delete, enter. Some issue is there. I'll restart my system and I'll join back. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about the programming construct and there are types we are having like variables. Okay, then we have if else. Okay, then we have while loop. We have try catch. Okay, we have return statement. We have break. Okay, we have case expression. Okay, so these are the some types of or some different programming constructs we are having that we are going to use. Okay, in our code, in our stored procedures, or we can say the code blocks in SQL Server. Okay, so these are why we use this. Generally, we use these to break the logic. Okay, to build the SQL blocks, statements of SQL block, so that we can meet the business requirement and we can solve the problems. Okay, so we will start one by one. First one is a variable. What is mean by variable? Okay, so we can say variable is a kind of temporary storage. Okay, or we can say this is in simple. We can say variable is used to store the value temporarily. Okay, so variables are used to store the data temporarily that can be used during the execution of batch of code or procedure or function. Okay, now keep in mind we will be talking about the batch of code or like block of SQL statements, not a individual SQL statements. Okay, so that things you need to keep in mind, because now we will be moving forward and we will be having the code that is not a single statement. It will be a multiple SQL statements we'll be having that we are going to see. So I will open one of the stored procedures side by side on this adventure works so that we can see those things in the procedure as well, whatever the these programming constructs we are going to see. So let me check if there is anything. Okay, yeah. So very first, this programming construct is variable. It is used to store the value or the data for temporary period, so that can be used in the execution of a block of code or stored procedure or function. Okay, so these are the some rules we are having, or we can say the characteristics of this variable. So variable name should always start with @ symbol. Okay, so whenever a variable is declared, we should start that name of the variable with @. Okay, the scope of a variable is limited to batch of code. So when we say the scope, okay, so at like in which place we can use this variable, that is what it is means. Okay, so the variables can be used within the batch of code only. We cannot use that outside of that SQL statements or outside of that SQL block. Okay. Once a variable is declared and assigned with a value, it can be used in any commands or queries. Okay, but this should be within the block only. So once the variable is declared and assigned with a value, it can be used in any SQL commands and queries within that batch. Okay, variable is declared with declare keyword and not created using create command. So this is an important thing. We can declare the variable using the declare keyword. Okay, we cannot use the create command. Okay, because it will not be created. It is a variable will be always declared. Okay, because this is for the temporary period for within that query window only, within that batch of code only. It is not with the create command. It is declared for a temporary scope of work. Every variable should have a data type declared. Okay, so whenever a variable is declared, it should have some data type as well. Oh, this is the standard syntax for declaring the variable. So we have to write a declare keyword declared, then at the rate. Here we have to give the name of the variable. It can be any name, okay, but make sure it is having a meaningful name. And then we have to give the data type. So when we declare a variable and a data type, in that variable we can store only that kind of data only. So if the variable is declared with integer data type, we cannot store the varchar values there. Okay, if the variable is created with let's say a bit data type, we cannot store the values like decimal values and all. Okay, so data type is important for a variable. Okay, whenever a variable is declared, we have to give the data type as well. Okay, so we were here at variables. So variables are declared with @ sign, name of the variable and the data type. Okay, so whatever the data type we'll be having, the same kind of data can be only stored in the variables. Okay, this we call as a local variable as well. Okay, a variable or local variable. Why we call these as a local? Because the scope is limited to the batch of code. Okay, we cannot use that outside of this batch of code or in some other query windows. Okay, so once it is declared, we can use within the same batch of code only. These are the some examples where we are declaring the variables. Okay, declaring variable one, which is name as a counter and the data type is integer. Then declaring another variable with name as a name of the variable and it is having the data type as a nvarchar 100. Then we have one more variable called a date, which is of date time. So variable name could be anything. Okay, but it should start with @ and it should have a data type defined. Okay, let's say you have to declare more than one variable. You can go with single declare command as well. Okay, not needed to have the declare mentioned for each of the variable. We can declare like mention declared once and we can declare the variables with comma separated variable list. Okay, so this is the variable one, comma, variable two, comma, variable three. But when we are declaring the variable with the declare command for all of those, we are not giving the comma at the end. Okay, so this is for declaring a variable, more than one variable with a single declare keyword. And these are the variables that we are declaring using declare command for each of them.
What is the difference in between them?
Difference is like we are using declare keyword only once and declaring three variables here.
So we
Okay.
are getting same output then.
Yeah, these are the same. There will be three variables only. Here also we'll be having three variables. Only difference is we are using the declare keyword multiple times. Okay.
So it doesn't matter. We can use once or multiple time, right?
Yes, we can use once or multiple times.
So which one is better, once or multiple time? What do you suggest?
Yeah, if we have the multiple variables, we go with single most time. Okay,
Okay. Mhm.
because we'll be having a multiple variables. Like I will show you some example here, some procedures that we are going to create in our uh, project as well. Okay, so this is a declare command and this many variables I am declaring out here.
Okay.
Okay, so we when we have the multiple variables, we will go with a single declare command with comma separated list of variables. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is how we declare the local variables using declare command. Okay, then assigning the value. How to assign the values to the variable? Okay, now this is just a variable that is declared. Okay, to
Mhm.
set the value into that variable or to assign value to the variable, there are different methods we are having. So first one is assigning the value direct using equal to sign. Okay, so direct value using equal to sign with a declare command. So during the declaration itself, we can assign the value. So declare at counter, okay, integer, and it is equal to 10. So in this variable, we will be having the value as a 10.
So
Okay,
this counter means column.
this is name of the variable. It is a name of a variable which is used to store the value for temporary time. Okay, and this is not a column. Okay, column will have maybe multiple rows. So we have declared one variable with one data type. It will be used to store only a single value.
Oh,
Okay,
one variable, one value.
yes, only one value. Okay, so we can assign the value using directly equal sign like this. So in the with declare command itself. So we have declare counter at counter, which is of integer data type equal to 10. So my value into this counter variable will be equal to 10. So like this we can like set the value or assign the value to the variable using equal to sign. So some of the real like in the procedure also I can show you. So this add error. Okay, this is an integer and I now assign the value as a 0. Then step ID assigning the value as a 0. Then we are having one more variable called sp start date time. So what value we are assigning here? We are assigning the current date value, right? Current date value. Then the completion status, what value we are assigning? We are assigning C as a completion status. So directly using equal to sign in the declare, we can assign the value to the variable.
Ah, Dev.
Hello. Okay. Okay, then sorry. Another method is using set command. Okay, so this is the another method to assign the value to the variable. Use of set keyword to set the value. Okay, so once it is declared, okay, we can set the value using set command as well. Okay, so this is the first method where we are directly assigning the value equal using equal to sign in the declare. Second is first we are declaring the variable and then setting the value into that variable using set command. Okay, so declare at counter integer, set the value into at counter equal to 10. So this is another method to set the value or to assign the value into the variable. I can show you some example here as well. Okay, so now here is one example we are having for set. So we are setting the value using equal to sign. This variable is declared out here, run ID. Okay, and there was some value we were having, but I am resetting the value using set command. So set run ID is equal to run ID plus 1. So let's say it was having the value initially 0. So 0 plus 1 equal to 1 will be assigned into this variable. Okay, some other example might be also there. Yeah, set rows processed is equal to 0. So earlier it was having some value. Now we are setting that rows processed is equal to 0. Okay, so we can assign the value using uh, set keyword as well. Okay, this is another method, and the last method is like, okay, I think I need to add one more. Set and then we can use the subquery. Okay, we can use the subquery. Okay, this subquery can be used in equal to as well, not only set. We can use that into this declare as well. Okay, so this is like using subquery calculate and assign the value. Okay, so the using subquery we can calculate and assign the value. So this some example I will show you. Okay, so here run ID we are having. So run ID we are not giving any hard coded value. Okay, we are not saying like it is 0 or it is 1 or it is some other value. So we are calculating that value from the table by executing the subquery. Okay, so this is a subquery we are calculating and it is like having 42. So in this run ID variable, what will be stored? It will store the 42. Okay, so like this we can execute the subqueries to insert the or to assign the value to the variable. But we have to make sure your subquery is returning only one value, because if it is returning more than one value, this run ID variable will not be able to hold that many values into the variable, right? So we have to make sure the subquery always returns the single value. Okay, some other example. Okay,
Sir,
this is hard coded value. This is not a subquery. Yes, Dilip sir.
in SSIS, there is also one variable. That variable and this variable
Same.
both same.
Yes. In
Uh,
SSIS also we'll be having a variable which is used to store the values, right?
yeah.
So same way here also we are going to store the values. Why we use the variables? So that we don't have to repeat we can change these values on the floor. Okay. We can make the code dynamic. Okay. In
Mm.
that way only we will be using this run IDs. Sorry, the variables. Okay. Now let's say
Actually,
instead of having this hard-coded this subquery here, you are giving some hard-coded value as like 10. So what will happen? This 10 will be used every time for inserting the value into the run ID. But you don't have to use the 10 every time. You have to use the like you have to increment this every time you are inserting the data. You have to increment the run ID, because this is we are running first time. The first time it should be 1, second time it should be 2, third time it should be 3, fourth time executing it should be 4. So how many times you are running the query, the run ID should be changed dynamically. So that's the reason we are not hard coding it, we are calculating it, we are assigning the value so that it can change during each execution. Okay, so the variable
are
size
we
we are
studying? Are we studying about the variable type, or the stored procedure
sorry
declaration
what?
of no, actually, we are studying a stored procedure, or what is it, sir?
No, I mentioned it is just a variables.
Okay, because lately I joined, so I don't know what are we studying now.
Okay. Okay, so we can assign the values and we can reuse those. Now, until now we have just seen to declare the values, sorry, to declare the variables and to assign the values to the variable. Now, how to see the value into the variable? Okay, so to see the value or to check the what value is there into the variable, we use this we use this select statement. So normally to see the data like from the table, we use the select statement. So same way to look the value from the variable also we use the select statement. Okay,
So
so
from this variable, are we creating a table, like create table kind of thing, or what is this actually?
I'm a little
Yes.
confused.
So why we use this? So as
Yeah.
we mentioned, this is used to make your queries dynamic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
normally we use the hard-coded values into the where clause, select statements. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
insert statements. So instead of making those values as a hard-coded values, okay, we need to make sure like the values will be changing automatically. Okay, by calculating the values we should assign some values and that value should be used in select, update, where. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so in that case we use these variables. Okay,
Oh,
so instead of hard coding the values we can calculate the value, assign the value, and we can use those values into our sequence statements.
so instead of where we use this declare thing then?
No, to use the variable we have to first declare the variable.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and to use the variable, we should have some value into the variable. So we have to set the values into the variable,
Mm-hmm.
and then only we can use. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
you will get to know this. Okay, with when we see the example.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
so to see the value from the variable, we use the select command. Okay, so I'm going to declare this variable here, which is of integer data type, and set the value. So when I execute this, okay, it will show the command completed successfully, but I wanted to see what is the value into this counter variable. So to see the value, what we use the select command and the variable name. So if I run this now, okay, it will throw the error. It will show like must declare the variable counter. So see, what I was mentioned is this variables should be used with set of SQL statements. Okay, and the scope is limited. We cannot run this individually. Okay, so we have to run declare, set, and select all together. Then only we'll be able to see the value into that variable. Okay, so this will be coming as a column, and this is a value. So we can give the name as well as a counter value something. Okay, then we can have the name as well. Okay, so this is how we declare, this is how set value, and this is how we see the value from that variable. Okay, we know like this is a integer type of variable, and we are trying to store the value which is of varchar. Okay, when I run this, it will throw the error. It will show like conversion failed while converting the data, converting the varchar value leads to data type integer. Okay, so what kind of data type we are having for the variable, only that kind of data can be inserted into the variable. You're on mute. You're on mute, Nora, sir, if you're talking.
Yeah, yeah. So we can change this data type anytime. Does it affect our database or not? This declare command.
See, we can change in the sense once it is declared, we cannot modify the data type of the
Oh,
variable.
okay.
Okay, there is no alter command for this modification of the data type.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay, if you have to then like save the or store the some other kind of data into the variable, you have to declare a new variable that required data type. Okay, but we cannot
Again,
modify the data type into the variable. Once
Mhm.
it
if
is
you want,
declared, only that kind of data can be stored into the variable.
Okay, sure.
if you want to change, then we have to change the result set as well in that data type.
No,
Hmm?
if we have to change, that is what we cannot change. We don't have an option to modify the data type. We can create a new variable with the required or new kind of data type.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have declared this variable. We have set the value as a 10. Okay. And we have this. We are able to see this 10 into our result set as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now once again I'm setting the value. Now this time I'm setting counter is equal to counter plus 10.
Plus 10.
So
Okay.
if I select this here, what will happen?
It will
It will
pop
be
up
20.
20.
Sorry.
It
The
will
result
pop
will
up
be
with
20.
20.
Right. So it will be 20. Why it will be 10, 20? Because
Once you
this
declare 10
this is declared. We have set the value as a 10. We are
and growth
again
with the
setting the
10.
value, right? We are again setting the value of the counter variable, counter plus 10. So counter is already 10. So 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. So when I execute this, I should get the result as a 20.
A
So
quick
once,
question.
oh yeah,
So we can store multiple values under the same variable name, like the system allows that?
Not multiple value into the only a single value. But we
So,
can change the
for
value into that variable using set keyword. Okay,
okay.
earlier we were setting the value as a 10. Now we are changing the value to
20.
whatever it is previous was there.
Uh,
We are adding 10 to that. Okay, we are
okay.
not setting the multiple values. Like we cannot do the 10 on 20. Okay, we cannot do this.
Oh, so we can't do that, but we can input another variable. Okay, I see
Right.
that. Okay,
We can
okay, thank
add
you.
the one more variable.
Okay.
One thing, sir, once we declare a one variable, can we duplicate that variable with a different data type?
No, the variable names should be unique. Okay.
Um,
Here
I
also,
thought
if you see,
changing the data type may be different. That's why.
right. So it will like try to change the data type kind of thing, right? So it is not allowing us. So see here also it is throwing the error. So why it is throwing the error here? Because
You
this
already declared.
variable is already declared above. So it is showing some red lines here. The variable name at counter has already been declared, even for the name variable as well, even for the date variable as well. So the variable names should be unique within the query, batch, or the stored procedure. Okay.
It doesn't matter whether the data type integer or varchar, but the variable should be unique.
Right. It doesn't matter what kind of data type we are having, the names should be unique.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's say why we are going to use these variables and why not the hard-coded values. Now let's say you have been asked to see the what we say yeah we wanted to have the sales order header data for the customer ID 12455. Okay, so what you will do, you will write a query where customer ID is equal to 12455, right? In this way, you will be able to get the result, right? But let's say you don't know the this customer ID, and the question is like you have to uh, select the data, select all the rows, or we can say select all orders for the customer. Okay, or we can say the last customer in the customers table. Okay, so how to see those records?
Hmm.
We have to see all the orders for the customers, which is last in the customer table.
Mm-hmm. For customer ID.
Because now you don't know the actual value.
Mm-hmm.
You will use the subquery there to calculate the value, right? What
Mm-hmm.
you will do is select max of customer ID.
Yeah,
So
max.
that will be your last customer ID, right? From Adventure Works, what is that? Sales.
We can also pass this query in a variable and then we put the variable over here in a where condition.
Right. So this is how we use this to calculate the all the orders for the customer who is having the who will be the last customer in the table. Okay, so this will be the maximum value from the customer table. Now, instead of this, what we can do is first we can declare the variable.
Mhm.
Okay, we can say we can give some name here like last customer. Okay, and which is of integer type. We can assign the value using subquery, or maybe there are multiple ways. We can assign directly into the declare statement like this, or we can set the value using set keyword as well. Set last customer.
You mean last customer based on the customer ID or order date?
It is like customer ID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, we can set the value using set keyword as well. Okay, anything is fine.
Mhm.
Okay, both we are fine. We can directly declare and set the value, or we can set the value using set keyword as well. Now this variable we can use in our query. So instead of writing the subquery here, what we can do is now we have this last customer value. We can use this value into the web class.
Oh, okay. One second.
Okay, because this value into this last customer variable is the
Already declared
last
there.
customer value. So now we can run this all together and we will get the same result.
Oh, we should run all together, right?
Right, because if you run it separately, it will throw the error like this variable must be declared. Okay, because
Mhm.
this is when we are using this, that should be used with batch of code, batch of SQL statements. Okay, that is what the
So
scope
right
is.
together then.
Right. Okay, this is just as an example I have given, so I'll show you some example here as well. I don't think we have. We'll go with this. Okay, so here we are using. So we have declared one variable called string. Okay,
Mhm.
and it is like setting the LICD to null or default instance LICD if needed. So this is we have just declared it. We are not stored any value into this. So how we are going to store this value? So here we are using this select statement to store the value. Okay, so string is equal to using select statement, select string is equal to then some code we are having and we are storing the value. Okay, then same here also we are restoring the value again. I was checking whether it is used in somewhere. Yeah, it is
So
used
can
in
you can
join
you
as well.
if you don't mind, can you run this the first one like a forms of how does this value populate? How does it look like?
We need to have the value for this as well. Then only we'll be able to run this.
Okay, so we need to pass the value on this select state
Variable.
in
Right.
the. Okay, is this a
Okay.
procedure? Am I right? It's a
Yes,
B.
this is a procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So we can use these values into the where clause, into the update statements, select statements. Okay, anywhere we can use the values from the variable. Let me see if I have some other. See the other hard-coded values. Yeah, even the variables that we are passing as a input parameters as well. So we can call this as input parameters as well when it is passed to the stored procedures. Yeah, that we will see. Okay, but here I don't have any variables that is used in the where clause. Okay. Yeah, so this is what the variable is, where we can calculate the value and we can use that value into the where clause or update command or select command anywhere. Okay, now this is one more example we are having. So I have declared one variable called max cells, which with the data type as a numeric. And what we are taking is we are taking the max of subtotal from the AdventureWorks database from the sales order header. Okay, and that value we are storing into this variable. Okay, then like this also we can do like directly equal to sign. Here we don't have the select. Select is outside the variable name. Okay. The difference here is we are using the set keyword here to set the value, and here we are using the select command to set the value. So select at max sales 2 is equal to max of subtotal, and then we are calculating that and storing that value.
And in this
So
way, we can simply see the select query also, am I right? Once the value is inserted in this max cell 2,
no.
okay, then
So
we
if
have
you
to
see
run all of
this,
three together.
right.
Okay.
So if you see now, it is also still showing command completed successfully because it is just assigning the value. Okay, so select this value into this. That is what it is happening using this. So to see the value from the variable, you need to have the select statement for variable separately. Okay, so if you see this, it is showing some value 163930, and this also will show you the same value 163930. So both way we are just assigning the value from the subquery into the variable. Okay, so this is what all about the local variables. So local variables or simply variables are used to store the value into the or used to store the value for the temporary period. Okay, we have to declare the variable using declare keyword and at the rate sign followed by the name of the variable and data type. Okay, there should be a unique names for each of the variable. It cannot be having the duplicate names within the batch of code. Okay, every variable should have the unique name. Then what else? We can set the values using set keyword, or we can set the values using equal to sign in the declare statement, or we can assign the value using select statement as well into the variables. The variables can be used in update where clause, okay, to pass the dynamic values. Okay, so these all are called as a local variables or simply a variables. Then there are some, there is another type of variable we have called system variable, or also it is called as a global variables. Okay, so these are like, they will be always starting with double at the rate sign. Okay, and these are all the system variables. So this is not created or declared by the users. These are already available in the SQL Server. One of the first variable we have already seen at server, or sorry, at version. So this will be used to get the version of the SQL Server. Okay. Then we have one more variable called at server name. This is used to get the name of the server of the current instance. Then at row count is one of the system or the global variable we are having. Okay, so this will give you the number of rows affected by the last SQL statement. So when we run this, or when we run this at row count, it will always give you the number of rows affected by the last SQL statement. It may be uh, select, insert, update, delete, whatever SQL statement. Okay, how many rows has been affected by that statement? That number will be given by this at row count. So this will give you the count of rows affected by the last SQL statements. Okay,
It might
so
be
if we
one
run
or
this,
multiple.
sorry,
It might be one or multiple row can be
no.
affected. It will
Yeah, it
show.
can be multiple rows affected, right? So let's say I'm running the select star from. Okay,
Mhm.
there is no rows affected. Like it is not having any single row into the result set. So now
Oh,
if I
okay.
run this select added row count, it will be zero.
Oh, zero.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I use some other table, let's say employee master. So with this select statement, there are 25 rows
Multiple.
that are affected.
25, yeah.
Okay. So when I run this added row count now, it should show me 25.
So what is the use case in real life, this row count?
Right.
What you gonna
So
find
this
out?
is used for logging. Okay, most of the time it is used for logging. So
Oh,
let's
yeah,
say
yeah.
we are writing the stored procedure, and
Mhm.
we have to in a stored procedure we are having say like block of codes. Okay.
Mhm.
So first we are having insert, then we are having update, then we are having some delete, again some selects we are having. So we have to like in real time we store the logs after each and every step.
Mhm.
Okay, each and every block of code. So we have to maintain like how many rows has been affected by the last SQL statement. So we can use this at row count. I'll show you example as well. We are going to use in our procedures as well.
One
Okay,
thing,
so this is my first step.
Okay.
sir,
Okay.
one thing in the row count, can we track other people what they executed in a SQL and how many rows were affected? Can we track that with this variable, global variable?
Yeah, but it will give you only the last transaction.
Okay, but there is a lot of like a coworker who is working with the SQL instance, and I want to know who run what the query in the last in their
That
instance.
is something like you have to check who runs the query, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, we can find out that, but this row count is not usable there because you know the
Okay,
scope of the variable is limited to your query window only. Okay,
okay.
so let's
Hmm.
say for example, I will show you this one more. Okay, so here we run the query employee master. Okay, and we run this at a row count command. It is showing 25. Okay, then I'm writing this query here. So let's start from SQL 1031. Let's say employee data. It is like showing now 14 records. Okay, and now I will go back to my query window and I will run this at a row count. How many rows it is showing? One.
Hmm.
Okay, it is showing one row because we ran this at a row count. That is our last transaction, and this is not considering the transaction happening in other query window as well.
Sir, one
Okay.
minute. I'm quite surprised. So SQL 1031, that is a DB, and then schema you didn't provide. Am I right? That's why you put a dot dot.
Yeah. For DBO schema, we can put this dot dot.
Okay.
This is the default
Directly we
schema.
can we can declare the database, then dot dot, and
This
then
is only
employee
for the
data
DBO
table.
schema. This is only for the DBO schema.
Okay,
So
that is
default it
only
will
for
take the DBO
DBO schema. Oh, for DBO
because it will,
schema only we can put a dot dot. Am I right?
yeah, because that will only consider default schema as a DBO, not for others.
Okay. So
Okay. So,
user define a different kind of like I define a schema with a different name.
right,
That doesn't work.
right. That doesn't work there. We have to provide the
Oh,
name there.
okay. For DBO only that applicable. Okay, thank you. Because I was quite surprised with that query. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this added row count will not work even in the another query window. Okay, and you were like asking, your doubt was like whether we can track the queries that has been running by the other users. So it is not possible. Okay, because that is on their server, their instance. Okay, we cannot track that using added row count because whether it is a global or local, the scope is limited to the batch of code. Okay, we cannot do that from other query windows. Okay, so normally this is used with logging purpose. Okay, so here let's say I'm having this select statement. Okay, this is a select statement we are having, and like how many rows has been affected there that I wanted to store the update statement. Sorry, after the select there is an update. Okay, so I want to store how many rows has been updated by this statement. Okay, so that I wanted to store. So I'm setting one value into this rows processed variable. So there is an variable I have declared called rows processed. So how many rows has been processed by the last transaction that I wanted to store. So how to calculate that rows using the added row count. Okay, so now in this variable, local variable, we are storing the value from the global variable calculation added row count. So this value now will be inserted into the sum of the log table using the stored procedure. Okay, for
One second,
example,
sir.
I can show
One
you.
second. Sir, in a procedure, we have multiple statement like a select, insert, delete, update. So that row count will capture, you said
Only
as
the last executed SQL statement.
then how it could be like before running the update statement, there is a insert statement. So how do I come to
No,
know?
there is
Like,
not an insert statement.
no, in a simple procedure, like we are taking a raw data
So it
from
will
the
show you
table.
only the update. Okay, it will show you the rows affected only by the update. If you want to store the data for the insert as well, before the update, you can use this execution to store the values for the insert as well.
In every step, am I right? If
In
we are
every
inserting
step.
that raw data, updating or deleting.
Right.
Okay.
See, this is my first statement. I'm updating the data. Okay, so I'm setting the values of row processed into the like added row count, and that will be inserted into some of the table using
The
this
table.
stored procedure.
Mhm.
Okay, then during the second step, I'm resetting the value of rows processed to 0. Okay,
Mhm.
why it is needed? Because earlier we have stored some value. Let's say it is affected with the 10 rows. So we have the value 10 into this variable. So if I not reset to 0, what will happen? In the next update, let's say again, there are 5 rows affected. So what will be the value for this?
Okay, then you will set up every step once is like update
Right,
one step. There is a one per block. Then you set a
right,
row process 0. That will be
right.
inserted into that row, and that will be stored in the another table.
Right. So in the log table. So normally in stored procedures, right, we will have the logs for each and every step. Why we store the logs after each and every step? Because we need to know in case of failure where the exact procedure, where the procedure is exactly failing. Let's say your procedure is having 2000 lines. Okay. And let's say it is failed. Okay. You are not going to run this procedure separately using your SQL server. The procedures will be executed through the schedulers, right?
Mhm.
Maybe in what is that SQL Server agent or any other schedulers like Stone Branch, any schedulers we are having. From there, we will be executing the procedure, and we will not be able to get the exact error. So for that, we need to log this information in tables so that we can go directly to that particular step to see where it is failed. Okay, that's the reason logging is important. We will see that in detail. But yeah, to capture these row counts, we will use this added row count variable so that let's say this is my first procedure. I'm having 5 steps. Okay, and you can see this is my first step. This is the number of rows affected in the first step, second step, third step. Okay. Then when I executed the second procedure, this is the number of rows affected in each of the step. So this is how we can log the data into the some different tables. Okay. We will see this during
But
our
it will take
project
a
as
too
well
much
in during
lengthy.
our script procedure.
It will take a too much like a much more line of a query. Like every time we are repeating the same thing, capturing in each and every step.
Right.
Is there any
It
other?
will take, but that is an necessary thing. Okay, that is a necessary thing. If we are not logging the information, we will not be able to get in case of failure or even for the performance as well. Okay, we have to see, let's say you are having a 2000 line procedure and it is taking 1 hour. Okay, so we have to see exactly what portion of the procedure is taking longer time. Okay, so if we have stepwise details, we will be able to know like this step is taking this many time, this step is taking this many time, and we can focus dedicatedly on that particular step to optimize the code. Okay, so logging is important and it will be there in each and every organization. Okay, and normal procedure is we will log the procedures for each and every single step.
Yeah, it's a depend on the company how much they're gonna adapt like the login process. But we can also for like rectifying or debugging that procedure, we can use that row count.
We can use the logs for debugging and rectification. Okay, that's why the logs are very important.
Yeah, but I see most of the company like somewhere like some have their what I can say that mandatory login process login they have, but most of them have don't have that login process as well.
No, it will be having there. Okay, because that is an important thing. Because see, all these procedures we were writing, we will be not executing that using simple execute button or using the Windows here. Okay, the procedure will get executed as you use the softwares, right? So whenever you are using any mobile application, any website, at that time the procedure will be executed automatically in the backend. That is how the SQL or the database is integrated with the softwares. Okay, you go to the website, like let's say you go to the Facebook login page. Okay, and you put your username and password and you hit on the login button. So when you hit on the login button, there will be some stored procedures that will be executed in the backend that will check whether your username is correct, your password is correct. If both is correct, then only it will allow you to enter into your account. If any small thing is changing there, you will see the different output. You will see the error saying like incorrect password, incorrect username. Okay. So how
Yeah.
this is happening? On a single click, there will be a block of code that is being executed to validate your data that you are giving as an input to the software. Okay. And to know, like in case of errors, to know what is the error we are having, okay, we should know the logs. We should have the logs stored somewhere into the tables. So logging will be there in each and every organization. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sir, can you go back and can I see that how you wrote the procedure who kept which kept for login the row count? Okay.
So I'm
This
using the procedure here. Okay.
mm,
To
execute.
insert the data. So this is the procedure. Again, this is a procedure within the procedure. Okay. So we are creating one procedure and within that procedure, I am executing another stored procedure. And this procedure is used to insert the data into the error details and step details tables.
So this raw run ID is coming from where, sir? This one, the job ID, run ID.
That we have declared above, run ID is calculated and it will be like resetted for each and every run ID.
Okay.
Okay, each and every run. Job ID is here. Okay, so like this, there are multiple variables that we are having. We should have the values for each of them, and then only we can insert
Okay.
the data.
Okay. For keeping the log, we have to declare what we should have in my log table.
Right. We should enter what value we are going to insert. That value should be calculated first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
then
Thank you, sir.
there is one more global variable we are having called error. This is used to return the error code for the last SQL statement. Okay, so let's say I'm running this SQL statement. Okay, now there is an error, right? So I should be able to get this error code here, 245. So in case of error only, it will show the uh, error number. So you can see here message is 245. So at error will always show the error number here. Okay, let's say after this statement, I run one more statement to get the data from the employee master. Okay, and employee master is there into the table. So it is not throwing any error. This SQL statement was completed successfully, right? Now, when I check the added error value, it will show the 0. Why? Because added error will always return the error code for the last SQL command. But my last SQL command is not having any error. It was successfully executed. So this added error is now showing the 0 as a error code. Okay, so added error is used only to get the errors in case of error code in case of there is error in the SQL statement. Okay, so I think I was using this as well in error capture in the cache block. Okay, yeah. So at error variable I'm storing declared. No, I'm not using at error because that is like old method. After now we are having some other uh, variables or other system functions that is used to get the error values. Okay, but yeah, this attr error is also used to see the error code in the last SQL statement. Okay, so yeah, it's all about the variables, a local variable and the global variables. Okay,
Sir,
mostly we use the local variables in our stored procedures, and global variables are like not a user defined variable. So these are just used to get the values from the system.
can you go back the earlier one? There I
Uh,
see the system MF error is somewhere. Yeah, def message error.
mhm.
What is this, sir? It is a local variable, am I right? But
Yes,
oh,
it is a
okay, you
local.
are declaring this one. Okay, it is coming
Yeah,
from error
I have
message.
declared this variable at the top.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the variable name which you declared. Okay, got it.
Right. So in this variable, I was just assigning the value using select command, and the value will be error message like that. Okay. So yeah, we'll see what is this error message and all during the error handling in the procedures. Okay, but this is just a name of the variable.
Okay.
Okay, why we are giving this kind of name is like we should have the variable names, and that should be meaningful name. So by looking into the name of the variable, we should be able to know what kind of values we are going to store into that variable. Okay.
Sir, one more last. I have, sir, I have it out. So, we're declaring variable. How do we define the data type, length, and all? Because
Based on your need,
if I am like storing the table in a one variable, how can I define and what will be the length for that?
you are saying table.
Yeah, suppose like I'm a querying select a star from ABCD table, okay, and I'm storing that table result into a one kind of a variable.
These are the local variables. So here we can store only a single value. Okay, when we query the table, select start from something, it will return multiple columns, multiple rows, and that cannot be stored into the single variable. Okay, so table
Okay.
to store the values from entire table, we cannot use these local variables. Okay, but yeah, there is a concept called a table variable. Okay,
Mhm.
but it is not something which is used to store the value from entire table. Table variable is one concept we are having that we are going to see, but that is to store the tabular data. Okay, not from the different table, but the tabular data from some columns we can use there. We are going to see that table variable in detail. But whatever the variables we have seen today, these are all are the local variables. Okay, this is used to store only a single value. Okay, for example, here we were storing. Okay, this is the last customer value. And if let's say I'm using star here. Okay, so what this subquery will return? This will return entire tabular data. Okay, and this all data cannot be stored into a single variable. Okay, so it will throw the error. So we can see now by running this, only one expression can be specified in the select list when the subquery is not introduced with exist. Okay, so this is like not going to store these values into the variable because it is showing it is returning the multiple values
But
that cannot
you
be
define
stored.
as an integer, sir. You define that variable as an integer.
So even let's say I'm using customer ID. So
Okay.
all this what we are getting, we will be getting this as a
The only ID, that integer value we are getting.
we'll be getting the integer values. Okay,
Hmm.
so even this cannot be stored because subquery is going to return more than one value. Okay,
Okay.
we cannot. Let's say I'm using this in we cannot use because it is assigning the value. So in we cannot use. So when we are getting the multiple values that cannot be stored into the single variable. Okay, so we have to get only the unique
Single
or
value.
like single
Scalar
value.
value.
that can be stored here. Okay, and then we can see that value
But
from this.
sir, one thing, like even I gone through a few of the query, like there is a concept called a dynamic query, SQL. So where we can put the we declare the variable, one variable, and we entire procedure or result set gonna be stored in the that particular
Right.
declare. How does it as you said, like that doesn't work? Then how does that the dynamic query does work there?
Which doesn't work, I mentioned.
Like here, like storing the table in a particular variable, am I right?
Yeah.
But in a how, like in a dynamic query we can store the result set.
Yeah, there we can store, right? Because the data type will be different in that case. Okay, we will not be having the data type like integer or varchar. Okay, so for this dynamic query, what we'll be having there also will be having a single statement only. Okay, let's say I am declaring this variable called at SQL. Okay, just this is a variable name. Okay, I can give any name here. Let's say I'm giving this as a query as a name. Okay, and for the dynamic SQL, we always use an varchar max. Okay, always and most of the time because we don't know how many like what is the length of the query. Now in this variable at query, I'm going to store some query. Okay, let's say I'm going to store the query, this query. Okay, so in this variable, I'm storing this value, right? So I'm storing this value here. Now, if I write this select statement, what will happen?
This will
What is
display
the
the
output of
entire.
this?
This will display the entire table from this select query in that.
Not right. This will just display the select star from AdventureWorks as it is. Because what is the value into this query that will be displayed out here, right?
Okay.
Why it will execute the query inside that? It will not, right?
Okay.
So dynamic queries are used with execute button, execute keyword, and then whatever query we have write. Now it will execute this variable. When it execute this variable, in this variable, what value we are having? We are having this value. So now it will execute the table. Okay. So this is how the dynamic queries will be used normally.
Okay.
This is a
Here
simple dynamic query we are having.
okay. For dynamic query, we always use execute. Am I right? Not
Execute.
a
Right.
select. Okay, got it.
We always use the execute variable name.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's say you have to make it dynamic. Okay. You have to execute this for any table. Any table. Okay. Now this is every time you execute, what will happen? Every time it will execute for the sales order. Sales
Okay.
order data. Right. So let's say you have to make this table name as a dynamic. Whatever table name you are passing for that table, the query should be executed. Okay. So in that case, what we can do is we can again, I'll just comment it out so it will go like the
So do
errors.
we have this one? We have a session for this. Am I right?
Yeah, we'll be looking at high level these dynamic queries. Okay. So I'm declaring one more variable called table name. Okay. And I'm giving this as a, let's say, varchar 100 as a data type. Okay, so this is one variable, this is another variable. Now in my query, okay, this is the query select star from AdventureWorks sales. Okay, and then we are having here now I wanted to pass the table name. Okay, instead of the hard-coded value, what I will do is I will add this with table name, quote name QUO. Okay, now if I execute this query, or let's say before execute, I will just select this just to see what will be the output of this. Okay, so I'm just selecting this. Okay, it is showing null now with a quote name because this is null. That's why it is showing
Yes.
null.
We
Okay,
don't
so
provide any value there. Okay.
yeah, so let's say I'm just giving the table name as this now. So my
Mm.
query should be select star from sales order header. Okay,
Because it's
if I'm
selected.
changing this to employee, now my query will be select star from
Employee.
employee. Okay, so this is what the dynamic is. Based on the input, your query should change.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but
sir.
yeah, there also will be using the variables only to assign the values. Okay, and these are all the local variables because we are storing the single values, not entire table. Even with the execute, whether we are storing this entire table, no, we are just storing the value, single value. This is a single value. With execute, we are executing the value from that query using the dynamic SQL. Okay, so a local variable cannot be used to store the tabular data.